It is the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilations, and this year the United Nations has given it the theme, No Time for Global Inaction, Unite, Fund and Act to End Female Genital Mutilation. It hopes to boost efforts to eliminate FGM, which affects more than 200 million women and girls alive today. I looked into the situation across the continent. Genital mutilation takes place in 30 African countries, but it is a universal problem. It persists among immigrant populations in Western Europe, North America, Australia, and New Zealand. According to the United Nations, the practice is prevalent in nations including Kenya, Ethiopia, and Chad, where at least 30% of girls under the age of 15 are subject to FGM. This is also the case in Nigeria. Just this year, more than 4 million girls around the world are at risk of undergoing female genital mutilation.
Let me be clear. FGM has no place in society. It is internationally recognized as an extreme violation of the rights of women and girls. ICPD 25, the Beijing Declaration, and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development have set forth a transformative global agenda that prioritizes the human rights of girls and women, including the elimination of FGM. Girls and women are often left behind due to social, political, and economic factors. For poor and marginalized girls, these factors intersect and increase their risk of undergoing FGM. In this decade of action and delivery, to implement the SDGs, I call on all member states to take urgent steps to achieve Target 5.3, eliminate all harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and female genital mutilation.
The United Nations hopes to stop FGM by 2030, but with traditional and religious practices notoriously hard to stamp out, those working to end the act have a challenge on their hands.
Well, as Amaka mentioned, FGM is a big issue here in Nigeria. Now civil society organizations are calling on the government to ensure that laws are upheld which punish those who carry out the practice. Bunarima Feintola has that report.
Nigeria accounts for the most female genital mutilation cases worldwide. The practice is usually a family tradition the girls up to the age of 15 are subjected to. 20 million women and girls have undergone FGM in Nigeria, accounting for 10% of the global rate. According to World Health Organization, it's estimated 6 million more will be mutilated by 2030 if action is not taken. Experts say the practice leads to health problems which can cause death.
In the more long term, you can have infertility arising from the female genital mutilation. You can also have the increase in cases of maternal mortality because we have altered with the external genitalia.
Right groups are calling on families not to make their daughters get caught.
We need to do more in the area of sensitization, especially for young people in schools. Messi spoke a lot about that we need to focus on empowerment, focus on their leadership skills, focus on these girls to be able to speak for themselves.
Experts say FGM can have a lasting impact on women and not just physically. Research shows that women who have been subjected to the practice perform lower in educational and economic attainment. There is some hope on the horizon. In the last 30 years, the practice has decreased by half in some parts of the country. Now it's hoped that success can spread across Nigeria. Punaramam Feintola, Arise News.
All right, to discuss this issue on female genital mutilation, we're now joined by gender studies experts and political scientist KEHINDE Bankole. She's in our Lagos studios. And here in the Abuja studio, we have Dr. ADAH OGOH, a public expert with Christian Aid. In fact, she's the project health manager for Africa, Christian Aid UK. Thanks very much, ladies, for joining us. It's obviously, an issue that concerns women, but Let me start with you, Kehinde, in Lagos. There are two issues, twin, you might call them, that seem to hinder the fight against gender mutilation in young girls, particularly in Nigeria, where religion and tradition play very significant role in the people's lives. How is civil society and organizations like yours helping to, bring this on the front burner to stopping female genital mutilation?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me today. First, my name is KAYODE, not Kehinde Bankole. I'm a gender specialist and a political scientist, and I'm the project manager for Girl of Nigeria. So basically, female gender, the FGM is a prevalent issue in Nigeria. It's a global issue, and it's an abuse of the fundamental human right of the girl child, which has short-term and long-lasting negative consequence. And one interesting fact is, over time, organizations like Girl of Nigeria have risen to the front stage to actually speak about these negative consequences, to shun against the continuous exhibition of this act, because it's a blatant violation of the fundamental human rights of girls and women. Because of the prevalence of gender inequality, we see the continuous. We see that women and girls are usually, women and girls are most time treated negatively, and we need to speak about it as youth. We need to speak about it as an organization, and I'm very happy that this generation of young people are speaking up, and it's a collective strategy. We're looking at non-governmental organizations, we're looking at the third sector, we're looking at people creating more awareness, creating workshops, seminars, speaking about this. It's high time we know that it's no longer about just a social issue, it's about the health issue. And the best time is now. If we're looking at total elimination of female genital mutilation, it's about time that we speak up, it's about time we increase.
Okay,
and the goal is not about...
yes, I mean, she's got so much to really say. You're going to ask Dr. ADAH OGOH,
who's here. In the studio. I mean, we have figures there that are quite worrying, especially when we hear that if action is not taken, 600 million girls and women are still, going to be mutilated, or caught, for lack of a better word, in Nigeria. What do you say to that?
Well, thank you very much for having me in your studios tonight. I work for Christian Aid UK, the Nigerian country program. I work as a health program manager for Africa. And when we talk about female genital mutilation, there's a conspiracy of silence, and a lot of the female genital mutilation that we see in our communities are underreported. And the reason why we see that these numbers are astronomically high and will continue to increase unless we purposefully, deliberately intervene is because it's called anything that has a social cultural background to it. It's something that thrives in communities. And therefore, because female genital mutilation has its bedrock around social cultural beliefs, it comes back and dates back to many centuries before lots of us were born. It's a practice that's deeply entrenched in society. And therefore, because of the belief of the people will continue to enable this practice, even though we have all agreed, or most of us agree, that this is evil and it's going nowhere. It's causing more damage, especially for the girl child, than we can articulate. The numbers will continue to grow because of the conspiracy of silence. And unless we go beyond just talking about it, to taking deliberate steps to eradicate this practice from our society, the numbers will continue to rise.
Let me just quickly ask you this, in trying to reconcile the people's socio-cultural behavior, which would, or which is a factor that makes, the practice to rise because of their religious and traditional beliefs and the rest. How do you, engage such people to tell them that this does not create promiscuity? Is there a scientific basis to determine that, as some people would want to say, based on their own background, based on their own religious and traditional beliefs, to say that no, when you circumcise the female lady, it shields them from being promiscuous? Is that true?
Okay, so there are two parts to your question, right. And I'll answer them one at a time. So now we're looking at what's the intersectionality between science and traditional and social cultural norms in our communities or in our society. It has to be a multi-layered approach. Reason being that science does not operate in a vacuum. And therefore, if we must dismantle social cultural practices that have been there for a long time, we need to create awareness, which is part of what we're doing right now. We need to also be able to present data, evidence in such a way that even though we do not agree with any of the benefits that are touted as the rationale for female genital mutilation, we have to come from the perspective where people are able to have informed knowledge and be able to take informed decision around why we think that this practice is absolutely harmful. Don't forget that these people come from a background where they believe that if you do the female genital mutilation, you're curbing an evil, which is promiscuity. So now we need to use data to demonstrate to them by showing them some of the side effects or some of the consequences of the female genital mutilation, which will be the immediate bleeding that they see in their communities, which will be the severe pelvic inflammatory diseases that arise from this. This will also, we can demonstrate to them when we show them how difficult it is, for these women to have normal delivery as they go or as they grow up. And therefore, it's imperative that we continue to let these people know. We know that issues of sex and sexuality is shrouded in secrecy in our communities. And therefore, how do we begin to unmask this masquerade and get people to talk about a subject that they are not so comfortable to talk about?
Let's go to our Lagos guest. Kayode, if you can hear me, in another 9 years, according to World Health Organization, they hope that FGM, female genital mutilation, will be completely eradicated, which is in 2030. Do you think that is possible?
That's our greatest focus right now. We're trying to see to the total elimination of female genital mutilation globally, not only in Nigeria. But the thing is, with the upsurge of the pandemic, it is also envisaged that we can have 2 million new cases of girls that will be subjected to this act. So because of the COVID era, we've had halting programs that are meant to protect women and girls to be subjected to this act. With the shutdown of schools in some part of the world, and when we had shut down of schools in Lagos, these girls are left helplessly with elderly persons at home who still believe strongly in the upholdment of these traditions and culture. So,
I'm
issues like
awfully
this.
sorry here, KAYODE, a gender studies specialist that will bring this discussion to an end here because we're going on a short break. And to Dr. ADAH OGOH, Project Health Manager for Africa, Christian Aid UK. Thanks for coming to discuss this very topical issue.